oil from Russia at that price. I mean, given all the work that is going in, how confident are you that this is going to actually have any impact at all on Moscow and President Putin's oil revenue?
So a couple of things. You just asked me a couple, and even as this process moving forward, discount on Russian oil, especially the United States and our, as you just mentioned, just for folks who reach a deal, a bipartisan health. These are important things. The Congress should move forward in getting this done. Hands with our OMB director, Shalon, continue to do briefings. I'll say this, I'm not going to get ahead of any discussions that are currently happening right now.
In today's on the court today, we've heard the White House talk about the potential ripple effects after the Dobbs ruling. Do you have a...
And so, as you know, that for decades, non-discrimination must incidentally of what the Supreme Court's decision. That's incredibly important to the president, as you know.
Thanks, Kareem. I wonder if you could give more detail about the Wednesday event about the rise of anti-Semitism.
The roundtable talks at the Secretary General. Anti-Semitism, it's anti-Semitism and hate wherever it exists. That is something that we will make include leaders of Jewish organizations, nations, and the Second General Special Envoy roundtable, given very personally, said himself that he is.
The follow, is it something that he asked for or something that the president directed him?
Gentleman is holding. It's something that is very question. I don't have anything to preview at this time on if he will be able to stop by. Clearly, we're always working through the president's schedule, as you, Senators Levy and Schultz, time on what the rest of the schedule is. The Hatch Act. This is an ongoing to be helpful to him. If you think about the midterms, how they were going to talk about Roe v. Wade, played a big role in setting that narrative.
Reports that some drugs are in short supply in certain places, like
Packing shortages at the national level and.
Has the administration decided whether to appeal the court ruling that ends Title 42 because the U.S. insurance funds?
More details, like again, this is a legal enforcement.
Sector plants. What can you just talk about what makes this one?
American manufacturing coming back at 7:30. It's a back.
Permitting bill to the annual defense policy bill, which.
There's Tillerson Cinema on immigration reform. Is that something?
Parties on real solutions. Talking about a of 2024 fundamental principle, and so.
Today, for service members in the NDAA.
Since then, as we've all heard, the Secretary of Defense has recommended specifically on the NDAA. And so you look, it's an irony. President, but also not many. So I'm not going to get ahead of the background call that's going to happen at 6:30. I'm going to let Brian Deese speak to why this trip is so important. A piece of legislation that is
done already. Physical exam. When will the rest of it be done?
This morning, the National Security Advisor met with
challenges and deepen our strong. We've been working with in January, so this is something that we have been very clear about, very transparent about. Again, as I just stated, we want to hit the ground running with that relationship.
Thank you. The administration said they're going to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve under $70 a barrel. The Russian price cap went into effect today, $60 a barrel. Is the president considering putting Russian oil in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve?
No, because it's been banned.
Okay. What about in Arizona? I just want to ask you.
TSMC, a company making a piece of legislation, and look, we should be able to reach a bipartisan.
If there isn't tomorrow, can you say at this point that he...
What I'm saying is tomorrow he's going to actually focus on an issue, a bipartisan issue that was voted in Congress, the CHIPS and Science Act, something that is going to deal with the border. Then they would stop doing political stunts and actually work with us.
Which is sort of a pressing issue for Democrats for the president. Have Democrats determined that a visit to Georgia...
I'm covered on the Hatch Act, so I'm not going for Democrats who talked about putting the little guy. Want us to continue to fight for their freedom.
Karine, just real quick on Twitter, because you guys said you're keeping a close eye on Elon Musk's ownership, and it's the first time we've talked to you since you released the files a few days ago. Is it the White House view that decisions at Twitter were made appropriately in terms of decisions to censor this reporting ahead of the election?
You mischaracterize actually what I actually said. Took it out of context when you asked your question. Look, when I answered the question, and I actually already addressed this about how the White House and the administration is seeing what's happening on Twitter. We follow also what's going on, just like you guys are reporting and just like you guys are seeing. And what I was commenting to is like, yes, we're seeing what is happening, just like you all are seeing what's happening with Twitter. So just want to clear that up because you definitely mischaracterized what I said or put it out of context. And so can you ask your question again?
Yes, I mean, my question was that you had said, I think 6 or so days ago, that the White House was watching closely the situation at Twitter after Elon Musk's ownership of it with respect to misinformation. And because these files were released on the basis of, hack materials clause at Twitter, decisions were made to censor reporting leading up to the election. My question was, is it the White House view that these decisions were made appropriately in light of what has come out?
Which decisions? By whom?
By Twitter.
By Twitter on, okay. So, look, we see this as an interesting or a coincidence, if I may, that that he would so haphazardly, Twitter would so haphazardly push this distraction. That is a full of old news, if you think about it. And at the same time, Twitter is facing very real and very serious questions about the rising volume of anger, hate, and anti-Semitism on their platform, and how they're letting it happen. More than 700,000 jobs have been.
Thanks.
Karine, just one more on the NDAA. Some members of
or the time. All right, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Just do this, and I'll.
Have you noticed that as everything around you seems to decline, one thing still grows? It is the power of your rulers. None of their plans and directives have solved your problems or made your life better. The only result has been their increased control over you at the cost of your freedom. Do you know why? You gave them the power.